America became a more dangerous place in 2020. Murders were up 30% across the country, led by Democrat-run cities like Chicago, New York, and Seattle. Oakland, California is currently terrorized by an outbreak of random attacks and robberies, and things have gotten so bad that people have started citizen patrols to keep their neighbors safe. But will this kind of vigilante law enforcement save lives or lead to more violence? Basically, there are places where you have one day of action, January the 6th, and the world has to stop while we address that, find out who did it. And then there are these other places where violence can just go on day after day, night after night, for months on end, and it's just a normal feature of life out on the West Coast particularly.
Yeah, and it's a sad reality for a lot of people who live in these cities who have to deal with it. Citizens should not have to create their own patrols, be it in Oakland or anywhere else. They should have a fully resourced police department to do the work for them. This is not safe. On the one hand, I do appreciate people going out into the community, because the more people who are visible, who show up and say they care, the better it is. But these are not folks who are trained. These are people who do not know how to de-escalate, which is exactly what the activist community has been demanding. So unfortunately, it could end poorly for these individuals who obviously are well-intentioned. What we need to stop doing is embracing this culture that has been attacking police and policing. Because when you look specifically at what's going on in the city of Oakland, that's exactly what's happened. You've had a murder last month every other day in the city of Oakland. And what's happened at the exact same time? You've had a city that has embraced the defund police movement. What have they done? They've cut the bicycle and foot patrols. They've cut the community resource teams that patrol the neighborhoods. Kind of weird. There is no doubt that what happened on January 6th was serious, and it is a stain on our history. However, there was also 8 months of violence that has overtaken American cities. People were murdered. Businesses were destroyed, lives were ruined, and that also matters. We have to pay attention to that, and to this day, not only is that being ignored, we still have members of Congress, like Cori Bush, who are egging it on. That has to be seen as a potential threat.
First up, we have New York. Governor Cuomo has been teasing us for ages about legalizing weed in New York State. Pre-coronavirus, he had included an adult-use cannabis proposal in his annual budget, but then nixed it from his budget because, well, everyone was running out of. Our next hopeful is Rhode Island. In 2020, Governor Gina Raimondo also included an adult-use legalization proposal in her budget, but then the state Senate was like, nah, girl. However, now lawmakers seem to be more receptive of legalization to help their state find some relief from a flopping economy. And in Pennsylvania, Governor Tom Wolf is looking to cannabis legalization as a way to bring in some much-needed revenue for his hard-hit state too, and has announced plans to take things a step further by introducing an adult-use legalization bill this month. Things are looking good for Texas, which recently saw state lawmakers pre-file several bills to expand the state's medical cannabis program and legalize adult-use cannabis, thanks to the forecast that legal weed could generate 30,000 jobs and $3 billion in revenue for Texans. And New Mexico. Voters will soon have a chance to legalize adult-use cannabis. Sadly, the 2020 bill missed the ballot, and now state lawmakers are looking at 2021 as their year. And finally, Connecticut. Governor Ned Lamont pushed for adult legalization with SB 16, which ultimately got stalled before the finish line. But Lamont says he has plans to try again in 2021, with State House Democrats vowing to vote in favor. Well, not too shabby, America. One by one, we'll collect them all. Are any of these your home state?
A Chinese company has put forth a multi-billion-dollar plan to build a new city on the Papua New Guinean island of Daru, which sits on the nation's sea border with Australia. According to leaked documents, the proposal for New Daru City includes an industrial zone, seaport, business and commercial zone, along with a resort and residential area. In a letter addressed to PNG's Prime Minister James Marap and dated April of last year, the Hong Kong-registered company WYW Holding Limited said its investment and development plan included broad-ranging ideas for the development of several areas of PNG's western province. That includes Daru. It says the ambitious plan is based on an agreed sovereign guarantee based on a long-term BOT, which means build, operate, and transfer contract. A BOT would give ownership of the project to the company for a specified amount of time. The company said it had entered into preliminary discussions with representatives of Western Province. Daru Island lies in the Torres Straits and is only about 200 kilometers from the Australian mainland. In November last year, Papua New Guinea's government signed a memorandum of understanding with another Chinese company to investigate building a $200 million fishery park on Daru. The CEO of WYW Holding, Terrence Moe, writes in the 2020 letter to PNG's Prime Minister that it would be an honor to work with the PNG government on creating economic growth through infrastructure development. But a spokesman for Mr. Marap told ABC that the Prime Minister was unaware of the project. However, if a foreign investor wants to come to PNG with millions of dollars of investments, PNG will not stop them, on the condition our legal laws are complied with and local Papua New Guineans benefit, Marap said. In another letter to Mr. Marap, the chairman of WYW Holding and the CEO of AA Oil and Gas, Calvin NG, writes that Papua New Guinea can advance significantly through appropriate infrastructure development, modern communications, efficient transport systems, and natural resource exploitation. We are very excited by the prospect of collaborating with your government